I reached out to you because I was having issues with how I was dealing with my marriage. I felt like we weren't on the same page, and I didn't know how to communicate with my spouse on what I needed. But I also was in a situation where I felt like I was really desperate. I almost felt like I need this to work, or we may not work out as a couple, as a marriage. So I reached out to you really almost with like this is my last effort to see how we can make this work. You show us that, listen, you can't control that a lot of issues come from trying to control your spouse. So all you can do is really work on yourself and hope that your partner is also going to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that's liberating, but it's also really scary.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great when it works, right? Because then you know that you both individually worked on yourselves, and you cared enough to do that. And I think that's why we're here together, because we both chose, we made the decision that we wanted to work on ourselves to be better for each other. We didn't force, I didn't force anything on her, and vice versa. I just worked on me, because all I could do. She did the same, and it just worked out.
At first, it was different, from like marriage counselors that we had seen in the past. We'd come with our list of like grievances against our spouse, and then our session would end up being about our own issues and not the issues of our spouse. But looking back on that, that is really, it changed the way we looked at things and realized that we each have to work on our own issues before love each other more deeply. You have to take care of your issues first.
Going to counseling by yourself is that you go in there with a list of grievances that you want Wendy to fix on my partner, and it ends up being, instead of fixing what Elizabeth needs to do, let's fix how you react to what she does. Because as you've mentioned multiple times in our sessions, you can't really control what other people do, but you can really control what you do, how you react to what individuals do. So going by yourself really allows you to understand that philosophy, and really be able to put it into practice while we talk through scenarios. What happened, how did you react to it, how can you have reacted differently? Where if you go as a couple, I feel like there wouldn't be as much time to really be able to run through those scenarios, and really be able to practice, kind of like changing the way you think about things.
Yeah, and another benefit of meeting separately is that you don't feel attacked by your spouse when you're together, because sometimes in those conversations you do feel attacked, and then you leave the appointment feeling worse than when you came. So there are some really great benefits of meeting separately. So when I first started seeing you, Wendy, I regularly told myself such terrible stories. I narrated really negative stories about myself that then caused me to be so insecure, that caused so many problems between James and I. And you really, really helped me with that. You would look at me and say, honey, why are you telling yourself that story? So that really helped me stop the pattern. I'd start to recognize, oh my gosh, why am I telling myself that? That is not true. Took me it's not something that happens overnight to be able to stop. I mean, even now I have to sometimes stop and say, why am I telling myself that story? That's not good for me. So that was one thing that has really changed my life. Another thing is helping me change my perceptions in how it's okay to let go of certain expectations that I maybe had. Like, I don't know if you will remember, but the conversation that we had about selling my house, I did not want to sell my house, even though financially we were in such a bad position financially. But for me to sell my house and live in an apartment was like shameful. You know, I can't do that at my age. And you kept asking me, well, why not? You just kept coming back to me, give me the worst case scenario, Elizabeth, you know? And so you walked me through all of that. And we did eventually, I was able to let go of these false ideals that I had. And I have been okay with that ever since. Like, it's really, really been life-changing for me. To not feel like I have to live up to these expectations, and some of those were self-made, or some of those were, you know, society expectations. So that was a big life changer for me. So I was in an industry that was stressful. I hated it and I didn't want to do it anymore, but I felt like I had to be the provider. What you asked me, you know, what is it that you really want to do? And yes, I really wanted to be I wanted to teach yoga, teach my fitness classes, but I didn't feel like I could because I couldn't let go of being the provider. You kept encouraging me to go after what it is that I really wanted, and to see that, to visualize it and see it, and, you know, move towards that. And I did. Yeah. I'm so happy. I've never been happier. Just, you know, I'm living the life that I wanted to live.
So what's changed for me? I would say that, well, I'll just back up really quickly. The great thing about coming and doing coaching sessions with you is that even though I went in there with marriage issues and wanting to fix that, the great thing is that you work on the individual for them to be better people overall, right? So what's really great is that even though you helped me with my marriage, you also helped me to become a better man, a better provider, you know, and because of that, I've been able to actually help other people as well. I mean, there's a lot of times that I'm talking to my friends, my family members, and I am literally telling them things that you told me, and I'm helping other people because of the coaching that you gave me. And because of that, I've been able to apply your coaching to my career as well. And, you know, I've had a lot of success, became a regional account manager. I'm doing really, really well. I'm the provider now. The dynamic, the roles have changed in our relationship, where she was a provider, now I am the provider. If we wouldn't have met you, I don't think that we would be where we are today. I mean, we might not even be married, you know. And not only are we still married, but we're thriving in who we are as a couple. And that's why I literally went on my Facebook, looked you up, and I sent you a message like, hey, how's it going? You know, and I was like, I wanted to tell you, like, we're doing so great, like, thanks to you.
I really feel like we owe a lot to you.
And what's really great is that we're able to take our growth and apply that to other relationships too. It's not just between, you know, myself and my wife. The way that you've helped us grow applies to every other relationship, both present and future relationships as well. It's really scary when sometimes when you do the individual sessions and you're telling us, okay, well, you got to work on you, and you have to trust that your partner will work on themselves as well. And that's really scary because all of a sudden it's out of your control. You know, if I can only control what I can do, that's scary, because if you want the relationship to work, you almost want to control what your spouse does as well, because, you know, you really want it to work, right?
Sometimes when an issue will pop up, we'll find ourselves saying, now what would Wendy tell us?